we'll make our way through. I'm Baseskip. It's great to be casting for you guys today. We already concluded our first series. We actually had 2 series going on in parallel. That's happening again right now. So we also have EHOME.Keen going up against LGD over on the Epicenter 2 stream. So if you want to check out that game, make your way over there. Or if you remember at the end of this game, go and check it out. That game might still be ongoing. Our first series of the day was relatively close between Newbee and VGP, but I think this series, VG.J versus L.F.Y, should be even closer, or at least it is a little bit closer in terms of overall rankings for these 2 teams. They did meet about a month ago in DPL, I believe, and went 1-1. So that should suggest that maybe we'll get a full 3 games here, and maybe we'll get some interesting stuff, as we do have an Omni Knight picked up very early on here. We're going to see Monkey King and Tree banned out, which we did see in the previous series as well. Nyx Assassin continues to receive a lot of attention. I think that's 3 for 3 in games that I've casted so far today, where the Nyx Assassin has been banned out within the first round, which is very interesting. I don't think Nyx Assassin was that highly prioritized at Kiev, but looks like, at least with the teams that we're dealing with for today's matches, we are going to be seeing some Nyx Assassin bans. In terms of other things that are going on, so as mentioned, this is the China qualifier for Epicenter Moscow. The format is just a full double elimination bracket, so VGP, having lost earlier, are not eliminated from the competition. They're waiting down in the lower bracket right now, and they're going to be meeting one of the teams that loses on the other side of our upper bracket, which is going on at the moment. And the winner of this match is going to be facing Newbee in the next round. So if that ends up being Vici.J, could end up being a very interesting matchup. And hell, if LFY win the matchup and win against VG.J, then should be a pretty good matchup against Newbee as well. So we're going to get Crystal Maiden and Earth Spirit as the opener here for LFY. I was having a look at their picks. They haven't played very many games for the last 3 weeks. Things have been a little bit quiet, I guess, with Kiev and whatnot going on. So there wasn't as much data to go off as there was for Vici.J, but they do have a lot of games on this Crystal Maiden. It's their most picked hero in the last 3 months, and Earth Spirit also up there. So it's 16 games for CM and 13 games for Earth Spirit. CM only just a 50% win rate, and Earth Spirit a 46% win rate. But with these 2 picks, they're at least going to be able to keep they keep their cards pretty close to their chest in terms of their overall picks and what their overall strategy is going to be. Though they have picked 2 heroes. I mean, as much as the silence on the Earth Spirit can be good against the Omni Knight, they've also got 2 heroes so far that do very, very little against a repelled core, potentially sieging a building. So that could be tough, as VG.J are just going to go for a buttload of team fight with picking up the Warlock. I feel like Warlock gained a lot of popularity over the course of the Kiev Major. It was a hero that VP were looking at very heavily to center around in their drafts and really give them that overwhelming team fight that they wanted, so that they could always take fights at pretty much any time. And I like it for Vici.J here as well. If you've got the Omni Knight, especially if you're running it off lane, I feel like you want to be pushing, you want to be 5-manning, and if you want to be 5-manning, then you want to be equipped to take a team fight. Whether or not the enemy team fights you is a different question. There are other ways to deal with 5-man pushes other than fighting into them. But the Warlock at least gives you that team fight superiority, and gives you some push sustain as well, which I think can't go underestimated at the moment with how difficult high ground can be to break. It can take lots and lots of attempts at a high ground push to actually successfully bring down a tier 3. And when you've got Purification, you've got the Shadow Word, helps keep your heroes topped up to get what they need done. So, alright, Lifesteal are going to be banned. The one thing I will say for Vici.J, and the one thing that I'm interested to see from them, because this is a similar thing that I was interested to see from Newbee. So if you look at Vici.J and Newbee's recent games, they haven't really picked the carries that were super trendy at Kiev, and they haven't picked them for a while. Newbee didn't really they had 1 Spectre game and I think like 0 Terrorblade games when I looked at them, but they picked the Spectre again today. And I looked at Vici, and they have 0 Spectre games, but they do have 6 Terrorblade games. And I feel like those 2 heroes were a really big part of the OG versus VP finals. Of course, they're different teams, but the teams that made it to the finals, they had a really good grasp on the patch. That might not be how Vici.J and Newbee necessarily want to play the patch right now, but I think those are definitely heroes that are going to be cropping up a little bit more. Of course, it'll depend on how things get nerfed and buffed and how things move around. I feel like some of the Spectre and Terrorblade might have been somewhat of a response to the TA getting picked as heavily as she was. We don't have a TA so far this game. Could still be an option for either team, really, at this point. Both teams are really not giving too much away. I mean, the Omni Knight, I think he's position 3 and he's off lane, but could be position 4. I think that would leave their lineup in a really weird spot. And I'm really hoping that it's offlane Omni Knight, and then they're looking for something like a Sand King maybe as their position 4 to get some more initiation, because Warlock can kind of cover your initiation, but you know, I don't think a little bit more would necessarily go amiss. As now we have the Troll picked up. Magnus is actually still in the pool here, so we could see Troll Magnus coming in for LFY, and Vici.J gonna have to decide how exactly they want to deal with that. There's still a Riki in the pool, which I think, as we saw, can be very, very good against Mag. Makes it very annoying for him to jump in and get an RP off successfully. You can just put the smoke screen right on top of your number 1 target and protect them from ever getting RP'd. So it also protects them pretty nicely from getting skewered. You can still skewer if you blink past the smoke screen and then you just skewer through it. But yeah, it's, you know, you lose some range, and it's just a lot more difficult to pull off. So, Vici.J, we're actually going to get our second Pudge pick of the day here. We saw one from Newbee a little bit earlier. Missed some hooks in the early game, didn't really get that much done, but the Dismember was definitely very useful against some of these right-clicking heroes like the Troll Warlord, so that's good. There are plenty of ways to cancel Dismember this game from LFY, so I feel like that's maybe a little bit less of the focus on this Pudge. Pudge Omni Knight is definitely a very annoying lane to deal with, so that could be something that we see Vici.J looking to exploit early on here, to at least just keep the Earth Spirit away from the mid lane. They don't have the benefit of last pick this game, so that means that they're probably not going to have a favorable mid matchup if mid gets left to these last 2 picks. And that means that if you already have an unfavorable mid matchup and then you add an Earth Spirit or a Crystal Maiden roaming into the mix, Vici.J's mid hero could just get completely demolished. So I like this decision to pick the Pudge, because they can put the Pudge and the Omni down bot, and that's going to force the Crystal Maiden and the Earth Spirit to spend more time down there with the Troll, and that's going to help keep the mid safe. And now we get a Bat Rider picked up. Alright, so it's a relatively single target from the LFY side. Not going to be opting for the Magnus. I think Mag can... Mag is certainly harder to play against Warlock than Bat Rider, or at least Warlock counter-initiates against Magnus much better than he does against the Bat Rider. I like the Bat for the vision as well. If he can jump in, it's, you know, it's even worth it to focus down the Warlock potentially. But Vici.J, they're going to grab themselves an Ember Spirit.
5 seconds remaining.
Pretty elusive in his own right. Gives him some more team fight. I think Ember is actually great with Warlock. The Fatal Bonds plus all of Ember's AoE magical damage is just absolutely ridiculous. So that's definitely something to watch out for this game. I would guess that the Ember is probably being run mid, so they're going to have to cover themselves a little bit. Make sure that he doesn't get pressured too much, or that he doesn't get a, you know, terrible 1v1 matchup, since Ember can get bullied by a lot of the popular mid heroes right now.
Remaining.
But so what we're looking for there, position 1. Is this a good Weaver game? I don't really think so. Not that great against the Earth Spirit. It does. The only reason that I bring it up is that I feel that Weaver is a somewhat similar hero to Slark in a lot of ways. So if the enemy team is worried about Slark, then maybe they're worried about Weaver as well. Weaver's not bad against the Bat Rider or the Troll, but it can be a little bit difficult to play against the Earth Spirit. But it could still be okay here. Shadow Fiend getting removed. The one thing that you do have to say about Troll Warlord is that the only way that the Troll is not a good carry all by himself. If you're picking Troll Warlord, you really have to pick another hero that's going to be benefiting from his ultimate. Otherwise, you know, what's the point? Why not just pick a better self-contained carry? Of course, a lot of the really good self-contained carries like Lifestealer and Jug and whatnot were banned already, but you really want to pick something that's going to benefit from that battle trance. So we do see the Weaver pick up from Vici.J. You know, there are ways to play against the Earth Spirit as a Weaver. It's not a complete hard counter. And, you know, often enough, you get your Shikuchi off before you get silenced anyway. Alright, we get the Death Prophet pickup. It is a good matchup against the Ember Spirit. Doesn't really use the Battle Trance that well, but it does fit into the overall game plan here for LFY of pushing towers. To push towers, they are going to have to get a pick off with their Batrider, however, because I don't think they have the better team fight necessarily. I like the Death Prophet as well because that gives them an additional silence, and Vici.J's lineup is actually so susceptible to silences right now. I think actually every single one of their heroes just gets completely screwed over by the silence. So that's something to definitely watch out for here, and something that Vici.J are gonna have to itemize around to really deal with. But I've seen some Death Prophet this patch. I've played a little bit of Death Prophet this patch, not that that counts for that much. And I feel like Death Prophet really struggles at high grounding. And I think Vici.J's lineup is just a little bit better going into the late game. The Omni Knight with his ultimate is going to help out a lot against the Troll Warlord and the Death Prophet's damage from the right clicks and from the Exorcism. So I don't know. I don't see them being able to end this game early enough, and then I think Vici.J's lineup starts to peak and take over the later the game goes. They do have they've got good nukes for the Death Prophet as well. Like, there's not a whole lot of save for her, so they could drop a rock, Fatal Bonds comes out, and then Ember jumps in with a triple remnant and just obliterates her. So we'll see. Gonna be very important to get this Death Prophet off to a good start, I think, this game. Vici.J's lineup does start pretty slow, however, so that's at least good news. There shouldn't be too much pressure on the Death Prophet right from the word go, unless the Pudge decides to roam instead of heading down towards bottom with the Omni Knight, which I think he's going to end up doing, but not 100% sure. Oh no, we hear this as well.
Prepare for battle.
Whew. I thought this was just going to be insufferable in pubs, but alright. Turns out it works in lobby games as well, and that the spectators, I mean, I guess it makes sense that the spectators can hear it. Anyway, let's get ourselves into this game. I'm gonna need to remind myself a little bit. They've used up their 2 all chat ones for 5 minutes, so it's on cooldown for a little while, so we're good for now. But anyway, let's do some quick introductions here. Oh, well, actually, there's other stuff to look at very quickly, but we got Radiant Observer Ward already planted down. Crystal Maiden plopping down her obs is going to be spotted out. What else do we have? We got another Radiant Observer over on the mid lane. So some very aggressive vision from your Radiant team here. Though, again, I don't think they're the most aggressive lineup, but this deep vision at least helps to keep tabs on the Crystal Maiden and the Earth Spirit moving around. So I think that's really the big intention here. Help protect the Ember somewhat. So this is, I'm pretty sure what, this is RTK, freeze. Life is hard without official lobbies. What, aggressive, and then wait, which one's FY and which one's Fenrir? I guess that it's probably FY on Pudge, right? And then Fenrir on the Warlock. In terms of the block, Free's going to come out a little bit better here on the mid lane to start things out. Earth Spirit is already smoked, looking to make something happen. That creep somehow ended up in the tree line. I don't know what kind of block caused that, but let's see if that gives the Batrider a little bit of an equilibrium advantage here. Start pulling things back in his direction. Is Earth Spirit looking for a courier snipe here? Oh no, he's stealing the creep wave. Oh, interesting. Alright, looks like he's going to get away with it. He's got some boots. Should be pretty hard to stop him. Pudge has already skilled up the rot. Can he get in range to slow him down? No, he's going to try and break the creep aggro here with a little bit of body blocking, but won't be able to do it. Ember Spirit copping some harass here on the middle lane. Already got the point in the Spirit Siphon up for the Death Prophet. Nice stuff for him. It's actually Warlock playing with the Omni Knight up here on top, but that is going to put on enough pressure that the Crystal Maiden hasn't really been able to get over here and utilize the big camp. So at least keeping tabs on the CM. Very important that you do this, I think. Otherwise, Crystal Maiden just gets so much farm going in the jungle. At least now she has to play a little bit further away from the lane and come over here for these Hellbears. So good pressure there. They got the D ward up on this high ground spot as well. So the Dire are flying a little bit blind right now. And interesting that the Earth Spirit doesn't really feel like he can get a whole lot done just yet. I guess he wants his level 2, but time is ticking, I think, for Earth Spirit to have an early impact. You know, the Ember Spirit is relatively vulnerable on the mid lane, but looks like for the most part, Free's managing to play pretty far back on his side and not expose himself to too much risk. Meanwhile, FY just kind of running some pulls, getting some experience. Looks like not too interested in really applying too much pressure early on. The Weaver is struggling a little bit in terms of CS. Only 5 CS on the Weaver right now, which is somewhat concerning given that the Troll is all the way up at 13. So doesn't miss a single one into the tower, so there you go. Not a huge deal. Crystal Maiden level 2 coming back to the lane, but I mean she's just got the Arcane Aura, so she's not that much stronger than she was the last time she was up here. Motail? Is that Monet? I think it is. Alright. I mean, if you're gonna emulate anyone, may as well emulate the major winners. Alright. As expected, Ember not doing all that amazingly here on mid, but don't know if it's... Is it that concerning? I guess, like I said, the Dire team need to get off to a good start this game, and they got to be careful about how they team fight around the Warlock. But so far, things looking pretty good. Batrider just jungling up a little bit. Some nice levels for him. We got level 2 on the Earth Spirit now, so he is definitely a lot scarier when it comes to moving around now and trying to apply some pressure. But very static laning phase, just kind of 2-1-2. Not a whole lot of rotations. A couple of bouncy runes coming up soon, so it looks like that's gonna split things up somewhat. Ember really keen to grab himself a bounty here. No, put in some pressure under the Earth Spirit as well. Just gonna drive him away. Nicely done.
This'll come in handy.
Meanwhile, CM does opt for the point in Crystal Nova here at level 3, so might be looking for a gank before too long. We do pretty often see the second point in Arcane Aura at level 3, but yeah, I'm gonna grab this invis and camp up on the mid lane. This has not been scouted at all by the Radiant team, so could be some trouble for Freeze. He's gonna be able to shrine himself up as he now gets scouted. Nice Dire Observer Ward keeping tabs on him as well. Creep Wave is a long way back, but he's just gonna play it safe. It looks like he's even actually gonna come over here and grab a little bit of jungle farm before making his way back to the mid lane. So unfortunately for LFY, it's just gonna end up being some wasted time. Batrider gets some more EXP up underneath this tower. There was a bit of a CS gap between the Weaver. Oh my god. Alright. First blood missed. Is that a hook? Looks like it was indeed a hook. There's that Troll Warlord going down. I was too focused on the mid gank. Anyway. Alright, nice rotation. Safe lane Troll gonna be taken down. What's he going for this game? Pretty standard build thus far. Picking up some phase, but he's gonna be going for the Vlad's build. Interestingly enough, Batrider putting pressure on here, but he actually needs to be careful. He's pretty much Still has about half of his Firefly duration, but Aggressive's running in after him. He's going to be able to get the swarm on over, but there is a shrine waiting up here on the high ground. Aggressive just going to make sure 100% that gets forced out. Shrine does get used. He's still doing pretty good damage, trying to force him away from it. There's another Shikuchi in a second, but looks like Aggressive probably just a bit cautious of any rotations. Is going to back himself up. Alright, I just want to make 100% sure that I am not messing up anybody's names here, so let's have a quick look. Oh no, I'll do... it's okay, it's a bit more work than I thought. Omni Knight in a little bit of trouble, but there's a heal bomb ready. They drag Troll Warlord towards the tower, but not quite in range. FY still chasing. They've got the Fatal Bonds as well. Troll realizing that he's dead, just going to turn around and try and fight. Nice boulder smash. connect onto a couple. Omni-Knight has yet another heal. He's got 2 points up in the Degen aura. He's going to continue the chase under the Earth Spirit. Should be able to roll away pretty easily, but needs to do it soon. There's another heal bomb coming in, and that's actually going to finish him off. Batrider does have the lasso, dragging him further back into tower range. Another heal coming up, perhaps, for Omni. Nope, stick charge is not going to be enough. And a very nice little body block there out of Crystal Maiden. Yes, they do manage to turn that around, but still, 2 for 2 overall. And actually ended up favoring LFY, so looks like that dive perhaps a little bit too deep. I guess Earth Spirit could have gotten out at any time, but he did manage to drag the Omni-Knight in very deep, so nicely played by him. Alright.
Trickster's rune of illusion.
Luckily for Weaver, he's going to get a little bit of alone time down bottom. He's even on CS with the Death Prophet right now, who has just gone for a 2-0-3-1 build. When you pick the Exorcism up this early, you're definitely looking to make use of it, but it might be a little bit tough. Oh, Ember Spirit getting some CS stolen. This Earth Spirit not really getting punished at all for his rotations, given that the Vici.J supports are just camping top.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Alright. There you go. Exorcism used. Earth Spirit keeping the Ember away from mid lane. Meanwhile, there's going to be a trade. Weaver taking out the bottom tier 1 tower. And a Glyph also going to be popped. Exorcism, still decent duration left. Looks like they should be able to secure this, but a pretty heavy commitment bringing 4 heroes over here. Batrider is just kind of going for the combat build, picking up a Drum of Endurance, tanking up. Give his team a little bit of extra move speed to chase down these pretty elusive Vici.J heroes on the whole, like Weaver, Ember, you know, heck, even the Omni-Knight, you got to keep up against the Degen aura. And Omni finding really good farm. What's he going to be going for here? Actually just heading in towards a Midas. FY moves into position up here, has not been scouted out by this Dire Observer Ward, but Troll Warlord is not interested in hanging around too much longer on the top lane. He's seen what they're willing to do to him. And we do actually have the Willock ulti ready for Fenrir. Looks like they will also be bringing the Ember over towards top. Going to be Boots Travel as his first item decision. Definitely some nice farm acceleration for him there. Weaver holding up a TP scroll ready to go. If the fight breaks up, but looks like there's going to be no fight. In fact, it's actually just... yeah, it's LFY just looking for some kind of a trade here, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. 40 seconds on the Exorcism. There should be a TP available for the Warlock with the Chaotic Offering ready to go. So I think Vici.J are actually pretty keen to take this fight bottom if LFY want to stick around. They see the Troll Warlord over at mid lane as well, so it looks like this is actually I guess this is the attempted trade. Damage on both the tier 2 mid and the tier 1 bottom, but neither one of those two is going to be all that successful as this tier 1 tower up top does take a very long time to bring down. Fenrir actually TPing to the tier 2 and running over, anticipating that this might be a fight coming up, but we'll see. Exorcism in a couple of seconds. I mean, Bat no blink, so he just has to run up if they're gonna try and find a gank here. Firefly gets popped. They really want this Weaver kill. Do they have any detection? They're gonna put down a sentry. There is a silence on the Weaver. The Boulder Smash does not connect. They're splitting up the fight nicely with the Chaotic Offering, and now Batrider finds himself in very, very deep. He's gonna be finished off, and this is a completely botched dive from LFY. Fortunately, they did not use the Exorcism and didn't commit too heavily for that, but they will end up losing the Batrider. And they're now going for perhaps a somewhat unexpected smoke. How much of this Yule Scepter do they have on the Death Prophet? It's actually almost finished, so Death Prophet with some very nice farm. They're smoking over towards Pudge on mid. Should be able to get him. Slowed down. Can he dodge the Boulder Smash? Will not be able to. Silenced up. Getting drained. Still actually surviving, however. RTK is here with the heal, and now they turn it around. More nukes coming in. The Exorcism gets used, but that is not going to do anything for the Death Prophet as she wastes an enormous cooldown, and they didn't even get the Pudge kill. Oh, man. RTK in just the right place to save his buddy. And Vici.J taking a huge fight win there. They saw the Exorcism wasted,
This'll come
should
in
be
handy.
able to maybe come in and push this tier 1 tower at mid. Even if they don't go for a push, they know that they can just farm. They can really do whatever they want for the next 2 minutes or so. Alright, Troll looks like he does have his Vlads completed now. Gonna be going for an SNY after that. But no, this Troll just still does not seem all that valued this game. FY coming in. Wants to plant in a couple of wards. We'll just throw one up onto the high ground. And some very, very nice vision from the Radiant. I mean, you look at the dire vision. They've got a little bit down bottom. They set this vision up thinking, okay, we're going to get this vision. We're going to take this tier 1 bot, and then we're going to establish control over the Radiant jungle. But they just couldn't fight into the Warlock. And this is what I was talking about with the Warlock being this amazing kind of self-contained teamfight hero. You don't really have to give him that much farm or that much space, but he has this amazing chaotic offering ability, which just kind of wins you teamfights all by itself, and means that LFY can't really go in. They can't really go in for the death ball push that they're looking for.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
Cliff gets popped. Little Pudge illusion gonna be. I mean, look at this. They're so afraid of the Pudge illusion. Tier 1 gets chipped a little bit. LFY do rotate some heroes in to try and defend this, but there's a smoke flanking right now from Vici.J. Who'll they be able to find? The Troll Warlord would be a huge kill if they can get it. He pops his ultimate. He doesn't hit a single person, and he just gets chewed down.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They seem so lost. They've got the Exorcism back up now, but feeling like they're behind, feeling like they can't really teamfight into the chaotic offering. Twich managing to chase the Death Prophet away.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Alright, I see no reason for Vici.J to stop 5-manning at this point. Weaver's getting pretty farmed, working towards his Lincoln Sphere. Yeah, Crystal Maiden, I mean, has some small items, but nothing crazy right now. Is Troll just going to come TPing in towards the shrine. Batrider needs to be careful. There is a Weaver on his tail. Just managed to fly over the tree line, and looks like he's going to be okay. Still a lot of Firefly duration left.
Invisibility.
Looks like Warlock just going to be going back for a Midas. Midas already been running on RTK for a little while. Just going to be grabbing the 60 GPM talent as well. So his game is looking very, very secure. In terms of an overall lead, we got 1.6k in the Vici.J direction. Experience still a little bit Dire favored right now, but I think that's mostly because Vici.J have been deathballing for the last 2 minutes or so. Okay, this is the smoke. This is the smoke that they were. Well, this is the push that they were hoping for 5 minutes ago when they went for bottom. But we'll see if it's successful this time around. I mean, Fenrir's still just holding up his DP scroll. He's ready to go. Fight happens anywhere on the map. He's ready to help out and just sitting as 4 here at mid. Weaver being very safe, pushing at top. They know that a smoke is happening. They just don't know exactly what the target of the smoke is right now. It looks like. Are they going to counter smoke? Yeah, alright. They don't want to give away this tier 1 bottom for free, but they do have to be careful.
Radiant's bottom tower
There's a Batrider
is
already in
under
the
attack.
neighborhood looking to scout this smoke out and then blink himself away. Big commitment on the tower, but there is still a glyph available. Couple more seconds until Vici can get themselves in position. Ember running forward. Will he be able to find Death Prophet? Does throw out the Exorcism. The tier 1 tower has been dropped. They get the silence. It's over onto the Omni Knight. They counter-initiate with the Rock, but looks like it's not enough. They will lose the Omni, but the Fatal Bonds is huge. Death Prophet manages to dispel it, healing herself up a little bit. The Exorcism is doing work, and looks like they will not be able to finish her off as Ember Spirit ends up losing his Flame Guard. Pudge bites down onto Batrider, but looks like they've got more than enough damage to finish him off. That's 3 dead so far, and LFY will continue chasing, looking for more. The Exorcism, not enough duration to get them to this tier 2 tower, but with Exorcism, with Chaotic Offering on cooldown,
Radiant's bottom
should actually
tower
be able to
is
get some
under
pretty
attack.
good damage done here. The Weaver's still not
Radiant structures are
quite ready for battle, but looks like Omni has respawned, and LFY gonna give them some respect and back up and go for some more farm. Actually, Batrider pretty far up. This is not a clean disengage at all from LFY, but a couple of TPs, and looks like they will be okay. Okay, so we're back on track for LFY. Exorcism was used successfully. They won a fight. Did they even get a lasso on somebody there? I guess they lassoed the Omni Knight. But another lasso ready to go. Exorcism only 60 seconds away and almost have the level 12 on the Death Prophet, which is definitely very helpful. How long on Chaotic Offering? 75 seconds. Very aggressive jump forward from the Ember here. I don't know if this is actually a kill. Freeze may have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew, but there is some help coming in from aggressive. Jump forward. Bat Rider finds himself stuck under the tower. Didn't get the lasso off, but Weaver now being Yule's. Boulder Smash stun. It's going to catch him, but he managed to get into the Shikuchi, and they don't have any detection, so he'll be able to heal right back up and be A-okay. Tier 1 tower is low, but not quite in deny range just yet, and FY goes fishing, but doesn't end up finding anyone with the hook. Exorcism only a couple of seconds away. We got a Death Prophet going for a Rod of Atos. Definitely very, very helpful against the Ember and the Weaver, especially for popping the Weaver's Lincolns and giving the Bat Rider the opportunity to jump in and get that lasso. They do need to be carrying some dust on the Bat, I think. If they'd had that, could have been pretty big. Bat Rider blinking forward, looking for a rune, and that is just going to be an absolute freebie for Vici.J. Freeze used all of his remnants for that, but I don't think that was the worst decision. So now going for a blink. We got a mech on the Omni. Definitely going to be a very important game to get Guardian Greaves for the Omni Knight. Help himself, then be able to help someone else with the repel. What else? Probably might even go for a Lotus Orb this game, honestly. Lincoln's is now completed for the Weaver. Going to be going for a Diffusal Blade up next. Unfortunately, can't use that to dispel the roots or the silences or anything like that, but still definitely very nice chase. And aggressive farming up the storm right now. Monet, meanwhile, alright, not going to finish the SNY. Looks like he has just decided to go for a BKB. I guess maybe feeling like they're on a little bit more of a timer this game, or that he really needs the BKB to be able to fight against the Ember Spirit Burst. Fenrir looks like he's still going for this Midas, but he doesn't have it on quick buy. He'll probably still try for it, however. Alright. A little bit of 5-man ancient farming going on before this upcoming smoke. They've got the Atos. Radiant Scan is going to be over near the pit, but it's not there long enough, and looks like this might just be a free Roshan. They're running forward. They see the Weaver. Can they pop his Lincolns and get the lasso off? Looks like they might not be able to, and Weaver with the repel will just be able to scout this out, though. With the Exorcism popped and the Troll Warlord going to work, looks like they are not going to be able to get over here in time. Could take the ensuing team fight, however. It's a pretty big deal to use the Exorcism like that. Did Vici.J scout that it was used? That's the question. I'm not sure. Given how fast it dropped, maybe they have an inkling because of that, but... Got Aegis up on the Troll now. Oh, he's actually going for a Manta. Interesting. I mean, there is... good against the Fatal Bonds, good against the Ember Spirit route. It's kind of, I guess, somewhat the middle ground between picking up the SNY and going straight for the BKB. I like the decision not to pick up the BKB immediately, because I feel like he's still gonna... There's still so many buildings that they need to push. If he has a 6-second BKB by the time that they start trying to take fights for high ground, assuming that the game goes the way that they want it to, that could be big trouble. So I think it's very important to save the BKB for later on in the game. But looks like Vici.J, just time for them to chill out a little bit, keep grabbing some more farm, probably wait out this Aegis, if at all possible. Got a Maelstrom up now on Freeze, a little bit more of a farming item than the Blink Dagger. Fortunately, he actually has quite a bit of room to just sit back and farm this game. The Weaver, I think for the most part, can handle a lot of the split pushing, but you know, not to say that the Ember isn't gonna do his fair share either. Spirit not coming forward to the wave. FY was kind of hoping that he would. Looks like this top tier 1 should be taken out pretty much for free. VG.J will put some pressure down bottom. And there is a shrine ready to go for a some kind of TP attempt. Also a Blink Dagger picked up for the Earth Spirit, so definitely some very strong initiation power from him, and that's what the Weaver is going to have to be afraid of. Getting instantly silenced before he can use anything. Another still very hefty duration on the Aegis, so a very long time for Vici.J to have to play keep away. FY just going for Force Staff. RTK hasn't decided on his item just yet. I still feel like the Guardian Greaves are just they just have to be purchased at some point. You could maybe go Lotus before Guardian Greaves. Could be alright. You probably have enough mana regen with the Lotus, even if you disassemble your Arcane Boots. But they're going to smoke up. I think that was right on top of this Dire Observer Ward pretty much. So, I don't know what they're hoping to find. LFY are 5-manned up. I guess they're just really hoping that someone's randomly farming, but this is a very curious smoke. They do have their Chaotic Offering ready, but what's it really going to do? They got the Aegis Carrier holding the front line, everybody else hiding in the trees, staying nice and spread out, but I mean, they're all the way over on the other side of the map. Oh my god, LFY are so scared. But alright, nice scan. It's going to reveal the fact that they're over by their shrine, and they're just going to go for the push. Should be able to force them back pretty easily. There's no TP on the Pudge. Our TP is up for pretty much everybody else, but this could end up being a high ground push, and I don't think that's a race that Vici.J are going to win, but okay. Earth Spirit's TP back, they know that. They've got this deep Observer Ward. They also see the Bat Rider. Lincoln's going to be dropped over onto Omni. He gets silenced, he gets stunned. They will be able to drop the rock, but how much can they really do? Troll Warlord just going to go right in, doesn't really care at all. Pudge getting lassoed up. Will he be focused down? Looks like he will. They've lost 2 for 1 so far. Bat Rider has hit the deck, but Death Prophet standing strong, healing up. Is it going to be enough for her to survive? One more auto attack's going to do it. Death Prophet loses her life. It's all up to the Troll Warlord here. Can he get a couple more bashes to finish off the Ember? Does get rooted. They just ignored him in the fight. They do lose their Weaver, but 4 for 3 at the end of the day is not at all a bad trade for Vici.J, given that they were fighting near an enemy shrine and the enemy team had an Aegis. So just taking them much longer to kill off the Omni Knight than they were expecting, and I guess Death Prophet maybe a little bit less survivable than she would have hoped. Is going for a BKB next, so that's going to be a big pickup, but alright, I'm pretty impressed. Vici.J, they didn't quite manage to take this tier 2, but they've extended the game. I think it was actually a very smart decision for them to take a fight on this side of the map over on the Dire side, as opposed to taking a fight on their side of the map. Because if they took this fight down here and they lose that fight, then they could potentially lose a tier 3, and then they're going to lose their shrines, and all of a sudden control on the game slips away. So I'm not actually sure that Vici were that confident they could win the fight, but they knew that they had a chance, and they knew that it was a better idea to take it on the Dire side of the map than it was to take it over on the Radiant side. But still, good couple of minutes for LFY. Game very, very close, not even a 1k lead, and not even a 1k lead in terms of experience. Back to farming stations for a bit, but it shouldn't be too long before we see some more action. Another 30 seconds until we have a Death Prophet ultimate. Only 1 level away from 18. This is going to be a huge power spike for DP. Picking up her BKB and grabbing the level 3 Exorcism. I would guess probably goes for an Octarine Core after that. But the split push is starting to wear away at LFY somewhat. They are going to be able to grab Pudge down bottom. There is no way out of this for FY, unless he denies himself somehow. But dear God, that would be gross if he'd managed to get that deny.
Invisibility.
Oh. Arcane Rune on the Ember. Yeah, definitely the right decision from Troll just to hang a very long way back. Vision situation not amazing for the Dire team right now, which is giving a lot of opportunities for Vici.J to push forward the way that they are. Repel comes in. They have already used the lasso down bottom, so RTK knows that he's pretty safe. They will throw out the upheaval, and Batrider actually in a little bit of trouble. They will just get the double blink away, so they'll be alright. They will flash the Ember down bottom, so I should feel a little bit more confident, but I mean, it's not like Vici.J are actually offering a fight. They're just hampering them. Split push over here. They come and deal with that split push. You annoy them a little bit more while your other split pusher moves into position over on the other side. And now with the chaotic offering up, looks like they're actually keen to try and find a fight. Smoked up. They've got good vision over on the Dire side. Very confident to move up this hill. They know that there's nobody waiting on the Shrine. The Shrine is also on cooldown. 4 men grouped up, but the Death Prophet is all the way over on the other side. She might be able to TP in. She's got that BKB. She's got her level 18. She's by far the most important hero in this fight, but needs to rejoin her team. As Weaver takes out the tier 2 tower on mid. Do have a gem picked up for the Batrider, so very nice for him, but they need to be careful not to lose it too quickly. They're going to scout out that observer ward now, but will just choose to bypass it. They don't want to give away this smoke. Who can they find? Pudge revealing things a little bit. Weaver's also the other hero up on the high ground as the exorcism gets popped. And Vici.J might actually just be able to disengage from this one. Ember Spirit jumps in, gets immediately bashed. Can they get another bat? They get the lasso. And Freeze will fall. Silence onto 2. That's trouble. Omni can dispel himself as they will end up dropping off the rock. Slowing things as well with the upheaval. Death Prophet, still plenty of exorcism duration left as Omni tries to run himself out of this. He does still have the ultimate available, but looks like RTK just going to resign himself to his fate as he gets brought down. FY with the hook onto the Earth Spirit, but he's still pretty tanky. 17 wand charge. The hook will not be enough to finish him off as he gets force staffed a little bit further away. Pudge has silenced, looking to deny the Arcane Rune at the very least, but Death Prophet sneaks in front of him, grabs that one up, and it will end up being a 3-0 fight in LFY's favor. I don't know, Freeze was trying to play games and just got bashed. He's like, alright, I'm repelled. He didn't have a Lincoln, so he could have just gotten lassoed very, very quickly as well, but that bash was really his undoing. And we're seeing exactly how strong the Death Prophet is at the moment with this sort of level plus item timing that she's managed to hit. So they find themselves right outside the Roshan. They grab up that Aegis. Troll's going to be working towards a Scotty as his next pickup. I like the fact that he's gone for the Manta Diffusal here, especially given that they're playing against the Omni. Of course, you can't dispel the Repel, but very, very helpful against the Guardian Angel. And RTK is actually going in for a Radiance now. I don't think it's a terrible choice by any means, but it's just a lot of gold to be sitting on when I think a Lotus Orb or something like that could be very helpful. Maybe feels like his team just doesn't have the damage. Weaver's actually struggling a little bit to actually get in and right-click anyone, with everyone just death-balling around the Death Prophet. Does have his Desolator up now, so those auto attacks are going to hurt just that little bit more. Earth Spirit and the Crystal Maiden both going to have to be careful, but I feel like CM's positioning in these fights has been really good. Only the 1 death to her name so far, as Troll Warlord just muscles through that tier 2 tower. No outer towers remaining for Vici.J, as there are tier 2 standing in both bottom and top for LFY. The Freeze is going to look to rectify that situation pretty quickly. It's going to force out a TP from the Death Prophet. Jumping a little bit further forward, just continuing to make more space, giving his team the opportunity to shove out this top lane and buy some more time. Oh, really nice wards planted by LFY. They come in, they manage to get the lanes in a decent position, and now they have vision all around the Vici.J base, and that Sentry Ward is not going to scout it. FY and Fenrir both feel safe, but they aren't in reality. Warlock still 10 seconds to go on his ultimate cooldown, and it looks like they will be able to bring them both down. Aggressive also getting caught. Boulder Smash into the silence. Great vision, finds some great pickoffs, and that could lead into an additional push. Death Prophet going to be joining them soon. Does have the Exorcism ready to go. FY just farming some Ancients in the meantime. Gonna go for the TP out. Knows that the lasso is on cooldown, so he's gonna be okay. Oh yeah, alright, this is definitely what Freeze needs to be doing here. Cut the creep wave. Can they deal with this wave that's already inside of the base? However, that's the big question. Exorcism used, there's no glyph available, and That's a tier 3 dead. Should only be a couple of seconds for the melee barracks. They're going to try for the hook. Patrol's got the Aegis and his BKB, so he's not going anywhere. And still, with 30 seconds to go on the Weaver, the LFY push will continue. Nothing that RTK can really do except for watch. He's going to throw out the repel onto the Ember, but he can't commit in that hard. They're going to drag the Death Prophet in, but I think this might be exactly where she wants to be. The Exorcism's still going to work. It's got a couple more seconds. Pudge getting saved for a second by the ultimate of the Omni Knight, but doesn't matter. It gets immediately dispelled. Their BKBs are on cooldown, and it looks like LFY just going to turn tail and run now as the Exorcism runs out and the Weaver will respawn. But a lane of barracks completely obliterated. Tier 3 taken out on bottom, and they're even turning around. They've still got that Aegis. Weaver's coming in from the top side. What can he actually get done? He will find a nice flank. Warlock in some trouble. Not really worth saving, but he will be able to make it up out of the high ground. Weaver already forced to time lapse just to avoid the lasso coming in. And if he gets lassoed, then he gets silenced, and he gets silenced, and he's just dead. So, all right. Nice easy push, nice easy shrine. Aegis still up for another minute and a half, actually, so might even be able to get one more Exorcism push going out of this Aegis. Almost got a Scotty on the troll, so he's going to be even more difficult to bring down once he picks that one up. Ember is just going for a Shiva's Guard, so I guess probably going to go for the cooldown reduction at level 25 if he manages to get there. And you know, I think you would normally say that Vici.J have decent high ground defense, especially with this Pudge, but you lose the fight outside of your base, and all of a sudden just can't really do anything. And now we have a Shiva's for the Death Prophet as well. Went for the 50 move speed talent, interestingly enough. Very, very fast. Alright, another easy shrine, nice easy money. Crystal Maiden, is that her 4-staff completed? Looks like it is. Earth Spirit going to be going for a Yule's. Another nice way to keep the Ember and the Weaver both locked down. And LFY doing the best that they can to keep Vici.J contained inside of their base. Yeah, Vici.J still finding a couple of little opportunities here and there to push things out, but not really threatening too much.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
A tier 2 does fall. Weaver is going for a Daedalus right now. I guess there isn't really any item that's going to save him from the lasso problems. A BKB would stop, you know, the 4-staff and whatnot popping his Lincolns, but I think if he buys BKB, he's just not going to do any damage. Like, the Ember Spirit is kind of running into the same problem, just can't really commit heavily into the fights. That's what the Omni Knight is supposed to be for. You know, let these heroes like Weaver and Ember really be able to commit and fight and then escape, heal up a little bit, you know, kind of come back in. Very similar to what a Slark would be looking to do, but that is not how LFY are letting them play these team fights at all. It's just everybody piles up on the Death Prophet, and if you want to kill anyone, you have to come in range of the silences, in range of the lasso, and it just makes the game extremely difficult to play. Alright. This will be the truly telling team fight for Vici.J. They've got their ultimate ready on the Warlock, but Fenrir will have to be careful. They're not running forward. He does have his Radiance now. Hook not going to connect. Troll Warlord blocking that with a creep. Nice bit of positioning there. They will pop the Glyph. Trying to waste as much of this Exorcism duration as they can, and the upheaval actually making it pretty difficult for LFY to come further into this base. They're going to get the BKB popped by the Batrider. Looks like he will get the lasso off, but it's only under the Pudge, dragging him back in towards the Exorcism. They drop the Chaotic Offering, but it's not doing enough damage. The BKBs are being popped, and Death Prophet is just running forward. Will Yules herself to buy a little bit more time. Omni now getting bashed up. Can they save him? Looks like they won't be able to. He's being brought down. It's a 2-for-0 thus far, and Troll Warlord just standing strong on the front lines. They got the silence on the Weaver. He'll be taken out, and that will be the GG called by Vici.J, as LFY will be taking game 1 here in this best-of-3 series for the Epicenter Moscow China qualifier. And that bottom team fight went so badly. I thought after that botched gank on mid, where they wasted the Exorcism and gave Vici like 5 free minutes to farm, the things were turning around, but that last pick Death Prophet did its job. It gave them the 5-man, it gave them the Death Ball.